Alright, I just want to do a little walk around on my winter project I got going on here. Being we have about an average of a ½ inch of snow coverage all winter so far, I really haven't been into the sleds at all like I normally would be. So this has been me and Trenton's winter project here. It's a 48 Willys wagon that building, I guess, would call a rat rod, but I'm more or less kind of calling it a race rat rod, just because some of the things I'm kind of doing kind of more race inspired. And so I'll just do a little wander around it here. I'll kind of explain what I got going on. And it's a 401 AMC 401 bored out to a 406. It's got a lot of good stuff inside, custom pistons, custom built set of headers here, as you can see. I got a lot of time, put a lot of time into building these headers, but it'll be worth it. I'm gonna ceramic coat them when everything's done here. But it's got roller rockers in it, little shot of nitrous. It's got Holly projection on it. Used to have this motor in another truck I had. After I pulled it out of that, I freshened it up here, so hopefully it's up to snuff again. Just mounted up my radiator and made that fan shroud and stuff for it. It's a radiator for a CJ, for a racing radiator, so hopefully it'll keep things cool here. Just made the brackets and everything today for the to hold the grill and the radiator. It's got a 60 Ford front end in it out of an F100 Kingpin. I built the 4-link for the front. I kind of make a custom little bracket and stuff here to attach to the front end. Got a drag link on it too. So you can see the headers come up over the top of the fender and come down the sides, then hooks into my exhaust system that goes through the body. Well, I have this little knockout, little pull-out piece here. So you can see 2 tools, nut driver and a small ratchet. In under a minute you can take that whole section out, and then it'll be running wide open headers then. And it just goes right through the body like that, down underneath, and then elbows and goes back. And I got a hanger right there right away to help support it. Now it'll kind of help support the headers too, because they're kind of heavy. But once you pull that piece out, no worries about the exhaust going anywhere. I'll show you on the other side over here what it looks like with the piece in then. So it kind of falls right down the fender nicely, I think. I chopped the top 5 inches, and then I raised the front fenders 5 inches to compensate, so I can get the tires and wheels underneath the front fenders. And I dropped the body 6 inches down over the frame. You can see that's about how much it was dropped, because before the floor was pretty much flat. So I cut the entire floor out of the whole inside of the Jeep. Then we raised it up. I recut the wheel wells to put them back in. They're not welded it back in yet. And this thing is definitely a work in progress right now. But I got all the floor pans in, about 1,000 plug welds to weld the pans all in. Built the bomber style seats for it. I'm gonna have some little pads made up to set in the bottom. It's a 727 transmission in it with a 3,500 RPM stall. Worked real good in my off-road truck, so I just had the tranny gone through and then made into a two-wheel drive tranny. It was set up as a four-wheel drive, obviously. That was a boy, that took me a while to figure that deal out there. As simple as a transmission mount, but one for a 727, they're pretty big and hokey, and I really didn't like them, so I ended up using a GM one. And there's a lot going on in that mount, but it's bolted to the bottom of the tranny, and I had to kind of make an adapter and stuff, but it should hold up real well. It's a nice neoprene mount in there. Frame is 2x4 rectangle tubing. I got a little step up right here to create the lift in the front. You can kind of see the frame angles kicks off, and I have like 14 body mounts, I believe, in the whole deal. You can see inside I got it caged too. Right now I got like 8 connections in my cage, but by the time I'm done I should be up to about 12. It's kind of that race theme I'm kind of going for here. And a safe rig. I mean, I'm gonna have my kids and stuff in here with me too, so I want a good solid safe rig to wheel down the road. Here's the rear. It's a Ford 9-inch, pretty typical rear end most guys use. They're readily available, strong rear ends. It's 4-linked in the rear, triangulated 4-link in the rear. It's all DOM tubing. Tap the threads in for all the joints. Here's one of the mufflers, Flowmaster mufflers, 3.5. You can kind of see underneath here on the frame, kind of how the exhaust tucks up against the body there, runs right down. Got the frame all X'd. Big drive shaft loops in it, just in case drive shaft ever decides to exit it. I don't want it to come up through the floor and hurt anybody, so I got a loop in the front and in the back. You can kind of see the substructure. Well, that smaller tubing is the body structure frame, and then all my floor pans are welded to that. Kind of see up in here too. And then the larger tubing obviously is the main frame. These little pegs in here, they're just temporary for now. They're kind of setting my ride height. And I'm pretty much going to build the thing complete. Here's my shock mount, combination 4-link mount. But I'm pretty much going to build it complete with everything in it, then weigh it, and then order the shocks and springs for it. I'm going to do a coilover shock spring setup on it. I've done it a few times before like this, and it really works out good. You pretty much get the right spring right off the bat then. I cut the rear quarters off. That's why you can see that one stitch line here. Cut them off and flipped them from side to side. That's how as I extended the wheelbase out a little bit. I wanted that kind of roadster look with the tires way to the back of the body, and it was an easy way to achieve it by just cutting off the quarters. A nice body line to follow, flip them from side to side. That gas fill would have normally been on the passenger side at the rear corner. Here's a look of the rear window. Kind of mail slot openings after the chop on it. Everything functions. Tailgate opens up. Everything works good. Had to kind of shave the edge of the tailgate down to reline up with the body too, because I had to kind of pull the body in a little bit to get it to fit back up with the roof. There was some kind of funky cutting going on back here. Kind of had to section it out to get that rear corner to come together, but I'm happy with it. I had to add a band. I had to pull the roof forward in the front to get the post to line back up in the front. The same with the doors. I had to add that piece right there, but I used it from another spot out of the door and this moved it to there. I don't plan on painting or doing anything with this body. This is, I think, looks good enough. I really like the color. Kind of what drove me into buying it once I seen this. It was on Craigslist, and the color is what really got me. I just thought, God, after 60 some years of this thing sitting outside, it looks great. Can't duplicate it. I got a ways to go yet. Obviously, I got to get a steering wheel in it. This week, I'm going to start building the transmission tunnel cover and stuff on it, and get the rest of the sheet metal inside here, and get this firewall dealt with. I moved the motor way back. I kind of come around here and kind of see how far back I had to set it into the firewall to kind of make everything work up here. And I didn't have the radiator or the fans at the time when I set the motor in, but I kind of guessed. But I'm glad I set it back as far as I did, because things got pretty snug up here, and I even had to cut a lot out of the backside of this grill and move this radiator pretty far forward too to make everything fit. These things originally had a 4-cylinder in them, so I mean it wasn't a very big motor at all. That's where I'm going to set my fuel tank, and I'll make an access cover and stuff to be able to access the sending unit and others, the fill nozzle, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a stainless tank that I'll build. Think mathematically it's going to end up about 22 gallons, 23. So should be enough to get me hopefully 100 miles. I don't know. Not really counting on gas mileage in this thing. I'm just going to do some turn downs off the mufflers there yet. Kind of wanted to get the tire bolted on and see about how far back I could come with the turn down. It's definitely not a finished deal there. I want to get the exhaust to come out from the side a little bit so you don't smell it inside at all. As far as the body goes, it wasn't too bad. I mean, it's still fairly solid. I mean, it's got a couple little issues here and there, but I hope to have it out on the roads this summer. I started on it last June, and it's come a long ways, that's for sure. But everything I go to touch on here, I have to make the part, and it takes a long time. Then every time you gotta make another piece for it, so you can do this and or do that, and so it's very time consuming as far as having to make every single piece to be able to do it. But well, thanks for watching, and when it gets closer to getting on the ground, I'll do another video of it. Thanks.